I'm thinking that as more and more comes out, he will be more privy to be sharing things about the royal family and trading secrets for cash.
Well, he's a private individual now, Samara. Do you know about this? It's like we were investigating his new property up in Sandringham. We believe it's a place called Marsh Farm, but we're told by the palace that they cannot comment because there's GDPR, which is like data protection rules, and that he's a private individual. Does he now deserve to be a private individual, to live a private life up in Sandringham without us asking questions about where he lives, and should he speak to the police?
It is meant to be one of the most convivial dates in the royal calendar. The King's annual pre-Christmas lunch at Buckingham Palace is usually a carefully photographed display of unity, familiarity, and festive goodwill. The senior royals arrive smiling, the wider family follows close behind, and the message is always the same: all is well inside the House of Windsor. But this year, one image cuts sharply against that tradition. While the Prince and Princess of Wales led arrivals in London, and while Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie were photographed beaming as they joined the festivities, Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor was miles away, alone, on horseback, in the rain, circling Windsor Great Park, looking every bit as isolated as the cameras suggested. And, according to one expert, that appearance may not have been accidental. Photos published that day showed Andrew riding through soggy ground, rain visibly dripping from the peak of his riding hat and running down his face. His posture was upright but stiff, his expression fixed and unsmiling. No interaction, no visible enjoyment, just a solitary figure moving through bleak weather while his family gathered for a celebration he was not invited to attend. Body language and communications expert Judy James was quick to weigh in. Speaking about the images, she said Andrew appeared to have gone full-on Marley's ghost, comparing the scene to something deliberately gloomy and almost theatrical. She noted that there was no sign of pleasure or exhilaration, adding that he just sits in the saddle looking solemn and gloomy. Her point was not simply that Andrew looked miserable, it was the contrast. At the very same time, his daughters were being photographed inside warm cars, laughing, smiling, wrapped in festive coats as they arrived at Buckingham Palace. According to Judy James, the visual difference between father and daughters was so stark that it risked sending a message of emotional pressure rather than quiet dignity. She put it bluntly: if you want people close to you not to feel guilt about going to a party you are not attending, you normally make a show of coping well. You wave them off cheerily. You stay home comfortably. You do not position yourself as a sodden symbol of exclusion. Andrew, she suggested, did the opposite. Now, of course, Andrew's absence from the King's pre-Christmas lunch was not a surprise. He has not attended in recent years, and following his removal from royal duties, the stripping of his titles, and the continuing fallout from his association with Jeffrey Epstein, his exclusion from public family events has become the norm. What made this moment different was the timing. The royal lunch came as renewed attention continues to swirl around Andrew's past, with further Epstein-related material expected to surface, and with the King having already made his position clear. Charles previously described Andrew as having made serious lapses of judgment, and publicly aligned himself with survivors of abuse. The message from the monarch was firm and unmistakable. Andrew is out. Yet his daughters are not. Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie remain firmly inside the fold. Both attended the lunch, both were photographed smiling, and both continue to be included in royal events when they choose to attend. That distinction matters. Royal watchers will remember that last year, neither Andrew nor Sarah Ferguson attended Christmas celebrations. This year, the pattern has held. The former Duke of York and his ex-wife are no longer welcome at these gatherings, but their daughters are being treated entirely differently. According to long-standing royal commentary, King Charles is known to be close to both Beatrice and Eugenie, and has made a conscious effort not to punish them for the actions of their parents. In practical terms, that means invitations continue to arrive for them, even when they do not for Andrew. Which brings us back to that rain-soaked ride. Some have suggested that Andrew's choice to ride that day was simply routine. He is known to enjoy horse riding, and Windsor Great Park is familiar territory. Others believe the timing was unfortunate coincidence. But Judy James and others see something more deliberate. She described Andrew's expression as teeth gritted and eyes fixed ahead, suggesting determination rather than resignation. A man pushing on, despite the weather, despite the circumstances, and despite the optics. In her view, the image created was one of solitary endurance, almost designed to contrast with the warmth and comfort his daughters were enjoying. Whether intentional or not, the effect was powerful. The phrase Marley's ghost stuck for a reason. It conjured an image of a figure haunting the edges of a celebration he can no longer join. Watching, circling, but excluded. And it raised an uncomfortable question. Was Andrew attempting to make a point? The mirror suggested that his appearance could have been interpreted as a silent message to his daughters, one that might cause them to feel conflicted about attending family events without him. Not through words, but through imagery. Andrew himself has not commented on the photographs, and the exact motivation behind his decision to ride that day remains unclear. But royal life has always been as much about symbolism as substance, and this symbolism was hard to ignore. There is also a practical reality looming behind the images. Andrew is currently believed to be in his final weeks at Royal Lodge, the sprawling 30-room property in Windsor he has occupied for years. Reports suggest he is being forced to downsize and will move to a much smaller property on the King's private Sandringham estate in the new year. According to multiple reports, some of his belongings have already begun to be moved into storage as preparations for the move quietly get underway. The scale of the shift is significant. Royal Lodge is vast. Sandringham accommodation is not. For a man once positioned as a central figure within the monarchy, the change is symbolic of his fall from grace. That context makes the lonely ride feel even heavier. Not just excluded from lunch, but approaching the end of a chapter altogether. Meanwhile, life inside the palace continues. The king hosted the lunch as usual. The Prince and Princess of Wales led proceedings. Extended family members arrived smiling. Cameras flashed. Festive continuity was maintained. Even within Andrew's own family, life moves on. While Princess Beatrice attended the lunch, her husband was notably absent. Shortly after photos emerged of Beatrice arriving alone, he posted on Instagram revealing he was in Los Angeles. He tagged his design studio, Banda Properties, and explained he was in California for site meetings. A reminder that even within royal marriages, professional obligations and separate schedules are normal. For Andrew, however, the absence cut deeper. This was not a scheduling conflict. It was a line drawn, and the palace made no effort to soften it. No alternate engagement, no quiet background appearances, and definitely no statement of goodwill. Just silence, rain, and a horse ride photographed from afar. Some royal watchers see this as the firm holding steady. Others see it as a carefully maintained boundary. Andrew exists physically close to royal life, in Windsor, in familiar settings, but remains socially and symbolically distant. The monarchy, at least for now, has decided that is where he stays. What is perhaps most striking is how little effort is being made to disguise that reality anymore. In previous years, absences were sometimes explained away or quietly managed. This time, the contrast was allowed to play out publicly. The images were published, and the commentary followed. So far, no one has rushed to correct the narrative. Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor, once a central royal figure, now rides alone in the rain while his family gathers without him. So let me ask you this. Was that image a moment of genuine solitude, or was it a carefully chosen piece of silent messaging? And as the royal family heads toward Christmas at Sandringham, do you think Andrew's isolation is now permanent, or is there any path left back into even the outer edges of royal life? Let me know what you think, and if you want more updates like this, be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications.